Everyone, welcome back for lesson 3 of our destination reader topic, the BFG by Roald Dahl. I hope you enjoyed asking questions yesterday. Today we're going to continue reading the book and we're going to ask some more questions. Okay, so key words, any important words are going to be written in red. Some questions for you to answer are going to be written in blue, and just like the other lessons, there's going to be some writing time, and this will be written in green. Now, before we start, I want you to check that you've got everything ready. You should have your copy of the story, you should have your strategy prompt sheet, and you should have a pencil or pen and a piece of paper or your home learning book. I want you to go and collect everything together, and when you are ready, you can press play and begin. Press pause now. Okay, great. You've got everything together. We're going to continue to read the BFG by Roald Dahl. We're going to continue with our strategy from yesterday, asking questions. I want you to remind yourself, why do good readers ask questions? I want you to have a think, say your answer out loud, and then write it down. Why do good readers ask questions? Press pause now. Great, you're back. And you've all been thinking about why do good readers ask questions? Well, good readers ask questions as they read because it helps them to understand what's happening in the story. Asking questions also keeps the reader interested and want to read more. And these are the little questions that pop into your head as you're reading. And remember, it's a little bit different in Destination Reader because we don't always have the answer for our questions. Fantastic. So we're going to have a look at some words that will come up in our reading today. These might be new words or phrases and quite tricky, so I'm going to help you to understand them. We're going to do my turn, your turn. I'm going to say the word, then you'll say the word. My turn, shadowy, your turn. My turn, shadowy, your turn. Shadowy. If something is shadowy, it's full of shadows, it's dark, it's dim, it's gloomy. Shadowy. My turn, frozen with fright. Your turn. My turn, frozen with fright. Your turn. Frozen with fright is a phrase, it's a group of words that means that someone is so scared they can't move. They have frozen because they are so frightened. Frozen with fright. My turn, pear. Your turn. My turn, pear. Your turn. Pear. If somebody pears, they're looking very hard at something, usually because it is difficult to see clearly. Pear. My turn, tingling. Your turn. My turn, tingling. Your turn. When a part of your body tingles, you have a slight stinging feeling there. You may tingle because you are feeling excited, or even when you are scared. Tingling. Great. Are you ready to keep reading? Let's get our books. I want you to open up to page number 4. And this chapter is called Who. I'll begin to read and you're going to follow along with your finger. And then we're going to stop at some points to ask questions. Are you ready for me to start reading? Yes? Great. Let's go. It wasn't a human. It couldn't be. It was 4 times as tall as the tallest human. It was so tall, its head was higher than the upstairs windows of the house. Sophie opened her mouth to scream, but no sound came out. Her throat, like her whole body, was frozen with fright. This was the witching hour, all right. The tall black figure was coming her way. It was keeping very close to the houses across the street, hiding in the shadowy places where there was no moonlight. On and on it came, nearer and nearer, but it was moving in spurts. It would stop, then it would move on, then it would stop again. But what on earth was it doing? Now we're going to stop there because I've got some questions. I'm thinking, will Sophie go and hide in her bed? And I'm also thinking, why does it keep stopping? Let's keep reading. Aha! Sophie could see now what it was up to. It was stopping in front of each house. It would stop and peer into the upstairs window of each house in the street. It actually had to bend down to peer in the upstairs windows. That's how tall it was. It would stop and peer in, and it would slide onto the next house and stop again and peer in, and so on all along the street. It was much closer now, and Sophie could see it more clearly. Looking at it carefully, she decided it had to be some kind of person. Obviously, it was not a human, but it was definitely a person. A giant person, perhaps. We're going to stop there. I've got some more questions. I wonder why the giant person is looking into the window of every house. And I'm also thinking, will the giant person see Sophie? Let's keep reading. Sophie stared hard across the misty moonlit street. The giant, if that was what he was wearing a long black cloak. In one hand he was holding what looked like a very long, thin trumpet. In the other hand he held up a large suitcase. The giant had stopped now right in front of Mr. and Mrs. Gucci's house. The Guccis had a greengrocer's shop in the middle of the high street, and the family lived above the shop. Greengrocers, that means that they sell fruit and vegetables. The 2 Gucci children slept in the upstairs front room. Sophie knew that. The giant was peering through the window into the room where Michael and Jane Gucci were sleeping. From across the street, Sophie watched and held her breath. Let's stop there. I've got some more questions. I want to know, I wonder what is in the jar. And I also want to know, what will the giant do to the Gucci children? I want to know what questions you have about anything that we've read so far. See if you can use a different question word. I've used I wonder, what, and will. See if you can think of 3 questions about what we have read so far. Ask your questions out loud, then write your questions down. Once you've done that, press play when you're ready and begin again. Press pause now. Well done. I wonder what questions you've come up with. Let's keep reading. Get your finger ready. Off we go. She saw the giant step back a pace and put the suitcase down on the pavement. He bent over and opened the suitcase. He took something out of it. It looked like a glass jar, one of those square ones with a screw top. He unscrewed the top of the jar and poured what was in it into the end of the long trumpet thing. Sophie watched, trembling. She saw the giant straighten up again, and she saw him poke the trumpet in through the open upstairs windows of the room where the Gucci children were sleeping. She saw the giant take a deep breath, and woof, he blew through the trumpet. No noise came out, but it was obvious to Sophie that whatever had been in the jar had now been blown through the trumpet into the Gucci children's bedroom. What could it be? And I've got some more questions now. I want to know, what did the giant blow through the trumpet? And I also want to know, will the giant blow the trumpet into more windows? I want to know what questions you've got. I want you to think of some more questions from what we've read, and I want you to say your questions out loud, then write them down. Once you've done that, press play when you're ready to begin again. Press pause now. Fantastic. Let's keep reading. And the giant withdrew the trumpet from the window and bent down to pick up the suitcase. I was going to start that again. As the giant withdrew the trumpet from the window and bent down to pick up the suitcase, he happened to turn his head and glance across the street. In the moonlight, Sophie caught a glimpse of an enormous, long, pale, wrinkly face with the most enormous ears. The nose was as sharp as a knife, and above the nose there were two bright flashing eyes, and the eyes were staring straight at Sophie. There was a fierce and devilish look about them. Sophie gave a yelp and pulled back from the window. She flew across the dormitory and jumped into her bed and hid under the blanket. And there she crouched, still as a mouse and tingling all over. And now that we've finished the chapter, I want to know, did the giant see or hear Sophie? And I really want to know, what will the giant do next? Have a think of 3 questions that you have. Say your questions out loud, then write them down. Then press play. Press pause now. Fantastic! Great questioning. Isn't it exciting to ask your questions and then find out the answer? I really want to know what the giant's going to do next. So tomorrow we'll continue reading the BFG and I'll be able to find out. We're going to keep on asking questions. Today you could make a list of all the questions you have so far, and you could even email these into your teachers so that we know what you're thinking about.